Shalom, this is David.
Hi, David. That is that Lance is doing some stuff. It's kind of a dreidling over there.
It's dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. I made it out of clay and sorry.
Yeah, I see you have a keyblade.
I do.
I'm getting pumped up.
We're getting pumped up for that spinny Lance. That was the first time I've ever seen that. But hey, let's cut to a different point where
where your keyblade is not as glowy.
It's not as glowy, but now it is.
Wait, there it is.
Yes. Bright bug up. When you transition using a homeward bone or anything like that, it does cancel those, which understandable.
And that's the only way they get canceled.
Yep. When you get good enough.
So once you reach a certain skill level, the 45 to 60 second timeout is completely irrelevant.
Yep. Now I will say this is the lead up to the third area of the Sunken King DLC. This is me fighting the Phantom that comes in poorly.
Yes.
Very poorly. But hey,
is it as poor as the Sin fight? I don't know. You are occasionally blocking and doing damage.
Right, but this is also me forgetting this guy was here and be like, oh, I'll just go back. Well, I got him.
I'll just R1 him to death.
Yes. Dark Souls 3 it up.
Yep.
Also, just switching off the weapon gets rid of the enchantment. But don't forget to hit that to open up the shortcut, I guess. You have a bonfire. I don't know why it matters.
Dark Souls 2 is a really good Dark Souls game. I would say the best Dark Souls game. That will fight you.
Oh, well.
But
yeah.
The animations on the two-handed greatsword there, or the two-handed greatsword, I guess, not necessarily just two-handed ultimate greatsword.
I wanted to see how good Breathing Flame was. With this character,
it's still pretty
not
bad.
Great. Not great.
Yeah, that sort of like twist at the end of each of those comes from like I think from an actual medieval fighting manual.
Yeah, that's seems
some
about right.
Good,
you don't want the blade just out and about.
Hey, they recorded a new animation instead of using the same straight sword animation from Demon's Souls.
Yay!
But we're not talking about Demon's Souls or other Dark Souls games. We're playing Mario Kart.
We are playing PvP boss fight.
Yes.
And this is me running up to him, trying to get him to switch to a sword to show that he does that when you get close, and then that not working. And then, hey, he did.
He did the thing.
And you don't actually want to fall down here, just because it's bad, because there are a bunch of stone things around that will ruin your day. But you have to fight against these three guys. Now, the way I fight them here is not how you should fight them. You should Mario Kart, because you are faster than all of them, except for Ancient Soldier Bard, right? Or is it Afflicted Graverobbers? Whichever one's wearing Alva's set. You're faster.
That's the Graverobbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're faster than all of them, then? Except for him a little bit. So what you can do is just run around in a circle with a bow and arrow and just pelt everybody to death with poison arrows. It's super effective. It just takes a long time.
It takes a really long time. It's very frustrating because it takes so long.
And this is the route you run. Just in a circle. You want to run this route because that pillar, yes, blocks the arrows for the most part. And if the bowman is staying in his original spot, he won't shoot. Now this is me realizing there's a parry function on the Keyblade, and I'm going to try to use it.
All right, let's do it. Let's see it. Nope, not quite. Not quite either. That didn't quite work out.
Nope.
You did get hit with an arrow.
Yep.
All right, let's see.
Which is why you want to stay roughly where I am, because then he won't hit you.
Yep. All right. How about this time?
Do you want me to spoil it for you?
Is it not going to happen?
It's not going to happen.
Okay.
Because you have to start it earlier than I am capable of recognizing that I need to hit the button. Because I am bad at parrying in Dark Souls 2, like really bad. So,
well, I mean, it's also very, very hard to parry with the great swords and stuff, because there's this very slow parry animation.
Also, Varg has a lot of stamina, and he can just whoop on you for a while.
You have a lot of stamina, too.
He has legitimately a lot of stamina. Also,
it's neat that even in your two-handed greatsword, you can still block and parry, you know?
Yeah.
It's novel.
Yeah, it's nice.
That seems like a good mechanical improvement from the first Dark Souls that they would naturally continue on with future installments, right?
Right. No.
No. The old Explorer didn't really work. He didn't make it.
Though I will say, when you're doing the Mario Kart on this one, just run by him a bunch of times and plink at him with a blade every time you do, because he'll pull out his bow, and that gets rid of him. And that's a good way. But let's do something special.
Okay, all right. The PvP boss is dead.
The PvP bosses are dead. But I legitimized this run a little bit more, played with a few more things. So
okay, there we go. All right, that's appropriate. That's an appropriate amount of.
So I will say that the maximum displayable damage in this game is 99,999. No boss in this game has 99,999 damage, or 99,999 life. None of them have that, as far as I was able to determine. Also, Flower Skirt.
Very good.
Yes. So, he doesn't wear it for the whole run.
I could see you took the training regimen mentioned in the previous videos very seriously.
I did very seriously. I don't actually know what.
Oh man, you had to use a serious punch on that guy.
I did. I don't know what the maximum effective damage is, because it's not displayable, and nothing has enough health to determine if it's actually 100,000 or more. So, yep, you know, see all nines.
You know what One Punch Man's favorite drum company is?
What?
Saitama.
Also, this is my favorite thing.
Revenge.
Boom.
You were not deserved.
She instantly has her little axe staff. And I'm going to continue a trend here.
Okay.
Namely, not being good at this game. But you can actually legitimately set your damage values on everything to whatever you want, as long as you don't upgrade it. It's fun. And pop! He has 10,000 health.
Yeah, good stuff.
At non-upgraded bonfire. So.
Very good.
That is the last of the DLC bosses for Sunken King.
Sunken King. Only one more to go.
Only one more to go.
One more DLC to go. 3 bosses, but
the PvP boss fight, which is what I call that, is
garbage.
Yeah, it's hot, lazy garbage.
Yep.
It's one of those things that it's tense just because a method that is surefire way to kill them involves just hoping you don't make a mistake, because it takes a long time. You can do the speedrun route and just, don't lock on and dodge around and hit guys appropriately, because they do separate out, because Varg is a lot slower than the Graverobber, and the Explorer doesn't really follow you too close. It's just... It at least lets it be an arena where you can kite them around, so it's not terrible. It's just super boring. And they have that in all of the DLCs. There's that one super boring, bad design boss fight,
and an equally boring area. Yes, and that is because those were the free areas for people that. I should mention this in the previous videos, but in case for some reason this is the first one you've listened to, in which case, hello, hi, welcome to Dark Souls. We forever, always, and ever, never, unending forever do Dark Souls videos. Yep, boss videos,
because they're never-ending boss videos.
Yeah, but in the original releases of the DLC for Dark Souls 2, there's one you did not have to actually buy the DLC in order to get summoned into one of the areas in each of the DLC areas, and those are the boring side areas with bosses that are basically recycled content. Except in Eileen Lois's case, it's extra horrible because it's the Winter Wonderland, and technically speaking, the boss is not recycled if that's the first time you fight it, but within its own context, it's a recycled fight.
It's also just a lazy design.
Yeah.
Like this was at least like, hey, we've made 3 NPCs with these armor sets and weapons. They react differently, so at least there's variance there. The double kitty is just double kitty.
Yeah, and then the boss arena is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just boring. It's just boring, kind of crappy.
Which is why I added the bonus at the end, because, I discovered that you can set your damage values to whatever you want when you are legitimizing things. So, if we want to talk a little bit about behind the scenes with that, I set my damage value to 9 times 10 to the 16th power. It's still displayed the 99,999. So even though my damage values on the character sheet actually wrap back around, it said I dealt negative damage. So that isn't actually a thing. I really wish there was a boss that had that much health. I think I might be able to legitimately give a boss that much health just to see, but I have to play around with that a little bit more. But this does harken back to a point I want to make, which is games that let you deal more than 9,999 damage are great.
Video games are the love of seeing numbers increase.
Absolutely.
That is what it's all about. It's about that little tiny high you get when you see this number is better than this other number. You're like, yeah.
Or when you hit a thing and it dealt, 46 damage, you come back 10 minutes later, you hit it and you deal 146. You're like, all right, yeah.
Ooh. Say serotonin. Is that the right word? Hold on, I'm looking it up.
I don't think it's serotonin. That could be, though.
What is the one I was thinking of?
Endorphins? Maybe?
Yeah, maybe that was what I was thinking.
But it's just that cathartic feeling you get when you see those numbers go up and things just get wrecked.
Endorphins. You get that tiny little endorphin hit each time you see this number is better than that other number.
Right. It's why Diablo 3 did things so well as far as the numbers went, just raw numbers. I won't make any comments about any of the design things because I enjoyed the game a lot, but it's been a while since I played. I'll
make some comments about the design things. It was made for a controller. They took Diablo and they made it for a controller, and it was better.
It was. Okay, I'll comment on that. Having played the PC version a lot and the console-based versions a lot, it's a lot better with a controller. Oh my goodness, it's so much better with a controller.
See, now I can hear the people out there that I spent 72,000 hours on Diablo 2 just doing ball runs or whatever for God knows what reason. But whatever, do your thing.
It was a simpler time.
Yeah, it's just I'm pretty sure you have to be able to click. Otherwise, it's not a real Diablo game. I feel like we've had this conversation before.
I think we have.
It's this is not a real Diablo game if you don't click and have inventory and have a bunch of cumbersome things on the screen at all the time.
You have to hold Alt or Control to highlight all the items and then look at a bunch of them and go, no.
Yeah.
Yep. It's
Path of Exile is pretty good.
Path of Exile is pretty good.
It's also very free. That's very true. It's,
but it suffers from, you can't use a controller for it, which
yes, very much prefer a controller.
Yeah,
because all you're doing is clicking.
Yep.
And the main appeal for the controller is being able to sit back and play the game. You don't have to sit forward and play the game.
Well, you're also not just constantly clicking or hold clicking or whatever. It's
also much more engaging when you can use both joysticks to do something. Especially in Diablo 3, they smartly added the dodge to the right stick.
Right. Which is not in the PC version.
And sometimes aiming. I think some skills have aiming on the right stick. I don't remember.
I think so.
But There are certain skills that planted you and you could aim that way, and some others not. So yeah, like the exact positioning of things was not important in Diablo 3.
Right. And
there are some cases in Path of Exile and stuff where, you know, you want it. I'm going to still say no. So even if you're like spawning something in a specific location, like a totem or something, I'm going to say 99% of the time, the exact position of that totem doesn't matter unless it's in an interior dungeon with a bunch of walls that might block it.
Right. Generally, as long as it's in a general vicinity, you're fine.
But I think there's definitely a way in order to use right stick and left stick so that you can be actively moving around and dodging while also positioning your skills. And I find that more engaging, which is why I like the Diablo 3 control scheme so much.
Right.
Instead of the point and click variety of which you're constantly clicking in order to get your character to do one thing, and then also jumping across the screen to get it to aim in a certain spot. Which is why I prefer the have minions do the thing strategy. But
because they're better at the game than you are.
I digress. Anyways, there's the elitists out there. They're like, oh, you cannot have a controller with a Diablo game. It's not a real Diablo game.
Yeah.
And then the roguelike people are looking at the Diablo people and just like flat stare.
Right.
It's like, Diablo's not a real roguelike game because it's in real time. And so on and so on.
Having listened to a bunch of roguelike radio, which, thank you for the recommendation, it's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
It is supremely frustrating to listen to a bunch of people very frustrated, very passionate. Wow, that word wasn't
very frustrated. Very frustrated. Yes.
Very passionate about a thing and very knowledgeable of a thing. Try to categorize the thing. And it's interesting listening to speedrun communities talk about it because they're like, there is
of course the Berlin interpretation.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
While you're bringing it up, let me finish my point.
Yes,
so when you listen to like delineations of things that are ultimately arbitrary, because these are things from a community that is passionate about them defining what that thing is. Like listening to speedrun communities say, what is a glitchless run versus a glitch run in this game? It's really refreshing to hear a bunch of them say, well, this is really just an arbitrary distinction that we decided that this is where we are drawing the line because we needed a line to draw. We needed a delineation.
I do like Darren Gray. Which
one is his?
He is the one that's the main host.
Right.
I do like him. He's this might shock you, but a cynical British person on an internet thing. But I like the fact he is very passionate. He has very strong, passionate opinions about a lot of the minutia of roguelikes, and also has some very passionate opinions about the arbitrariness or about some of it. It's not just a party line kind of thing, as you might assume from just. It's not like he is. It's not like he takes something like the Berlin interpretation and has the lack of self-awareness to say like, oh, this is what this is supposed to be.
Right.
He's like, nah, that's not really. It's just kind of a guideline.
Yes. And it's listening to them talk about it is very interesting, but it can also be supremely frustrating as somebody who's, played a little bit of roguelikes, like a little bit of Angband and a little bit of Cardinal Quest 2, which are like opposite ends of the spectrum by a lot. And then playing a fair amount of Diablo 2, which is, a roguelike. So it's Diablo 1. Diablo 3 a little bit.
I would make the argument that Diablo 1 is a roguelike. And that Diablo 2 is really, it's riffing off of Diablo 1. And then you get like the action RPG genre that kind of is its own kind of thing.
I will say Diablo 2...
You could say that an ARPG is almost a subgenre of roguelike, but that's getting way too... That's getting into like the genres of metal music territory. Nobody wants that.
No. It's like, what's the difference between thrash metal and death metal? What's metalcore? What's hardcore?
It's like, well, hardcore is technically a subset of punk, and then metalcore is when the fusion genre of hardcore punk and metal... If you wanted, I'm just saying. But what's the difference between death and blackened death and thrash and blackened thrash.
How long you leave it in the oven?
Yeah, that might literally be true for all I know. It's like we took the masters, we baked them. It's like, I don't know what that means. Is that like a drug thing? Is that a literal oven?
No, it's a plug-in in the DAW that they use.
Okay, that also might be true.
You just bake. Roguelikes. Roguelikes.
For some reason, we were talking about
roguelikes. Why were we talking about roguelikes? I don't even remember.
Because we're talking about things that are not really that thing.
Oh, right. Yeah. And a lot of people say Dark Souls 2 isn't really a Dark Souls game. It's like, what? Are you crazy?
Yeah, they're crazy.
They actually, yeah, correct answer. They are crazy.
They are crazy.
I was...
The Berlin interpretation.
Oh, yes. Let's hear this.
Of roguelikes. In case you're not aware, the Berlin interpretation is a sort of... a guideline for defining the genre of roguelikeness from the Roguelike Development Conference 2008.
I love that that's a thing. That makes me so happy.
The RDC, that's RDC 2008. General principles. Roguelike refers to a genre, not merely something that is like the game Rogue. And let's see, the genre is represented by its canon. And the canon for roguelikes is ADOM, Ancient Domains of Mystery, Angband, Crawl, which also became Dungeon Crawl Snowsuit, NetHack, and Rogue. That is considered canon. Okay, so there you go.
Okay, so it has to be.
And then there's high value and low value factors. And then I guess you could think of it as like a point system, where it's like, how many points they have. And it's things like random environments, permadeath, turn-based, grid-based, non-modal, movement, battle, and other actions take place in the same mode. Every action should be available at any point in the game.
Okay. Got that.
Okay, that makes sense. Complexity, resource management, hacking and slashing, exploration, discovery. Single-player character instead of a party. Monsters are similar to players in that the rules that govern them also govern you. Tactical challenges rather than strategic challenges, although it depends on the game. Tactical being like, how do I win this particular fight with what I have? Strategic being, how do I win the entire game? Just as an example.
Right, and that's the delineation that's not very clear if you haven't had somebody explain it to you before. It was like, I love the strategic value, but not this tactical one. I was like, what? Wait,
it does, because I didn't know that before either. But then after thinking about it, like, actually, that makes a lot of sense. I'm trying to consider design decisions. And I was like, I do like a game that has tactical combat
versus strategic.
I do like strategic stuff too.
Well, it was one of those things where it's like, what is the difference between tactical and strategic? And then when they said, this is what we mean by when we define strategic, this is strategic. When we define tactical, this is tactical. It's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Okay, cool.
And then the rest of the minor ones are ASCII characters, dungeons, rooms and corridors that make up dungeons and dungeon floors, and then numbers used to describe a character are deliberately shown, are readily available. You kind of see, and then just pick a few of these, and you can have something that is a roguelike genre. But yeah, that's just a hilarious thing that I think of. Just calling something the Berlin interpretation is.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's just a combination of words used to describe a thing that's so very specific.
It makes me happy that, and this is not like me laughing at people having a passion, because I think roguelikes are a lot of fun. It's just most of them are too complex for me to dive into.
That's fair.
I'm just super happy that there were enough people passionate about a thing to have a conference that happens annually, and then to define the thing in a conference like it's some grand tribunal.
A tribunal, and like a democratic sort of, I don't know, vote, or
right.
They hashed it out.
Did they have proper assembly rules used? Was it just like, all right, I would like to make a motion, this man would like to make a motion, do we have a second? We have a second.
A lot of the canon was written in C, not usually assembly, but okay, it's technically assembler, but I'm trying to work with me here.
Machine code. Ha! That's why Final Fantasy is a train wreck. Anyway, as far as coding goes.
If you like assembler puns, and I know you do, if you're still listening.
Yes.
Like, statistically speaking, you do.
You're also statistically Dutch.
Yeah, apparently. I guess, it depends on the video.
Oh, okay.
But yes, if you would like to support us and the stupid ramblings that we do, specifically at the end, like during the videos, but also at the ends of the videos too, the sort of podcast land we're currently in right now.
Yeah, where we just kind of talk because it's midnight for me and late for Jeffy.
Yeah. Then you can contribute monthly to our Patreon. You can give a certain amount per month on ongoing basis. Like $1. Mm-hmm. That'd be great. Have a whole bunch of people give $1, then we can get enough to do this as a primary job. Hopefully,
right.
Right now, it's a good secondary source of income, but not mm-hmm. quite enough to become main job. But that would be the idea. Mm-hmm. Or if you don't like it, then you don't have to. Like you don't have to do that. So that's cool too.
That's cool. I mean, we would appreciate it if you did. I mean, if you don't want to give us money, then you can like, comment, and subscribe.
You can do those things.
Yep, you can. I said it. I made the words. They came out my mouth.
It's true. Okay. All right.
I feel I've made progress.
Congrats. Dark Souls?
Dark Souls? One punch! All right, I'm going to stop recording.
That's probably fair.